Hey guys, today I'll show you a short recap of a 2021 American superhero fantasy comedy drama thriller, Flora and Ulysses. Get ready for the best part. Of course, the spoilers. The movie is about a young girl named Flora and a squirrel she saved from a vacuum cleaner, and how their relationship changed her cynicism into hope for love and reunion. Watch the full video to know the experiences that they both had in their period of friendship, and how it also reunited her separated parents. Before getting into the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for daily updates. The movie begins with Flora not appreciating the new typewriter her mom was trying to show her, and then getting distracted by the malfunctioning vacuum of Mrs. Tootie, her next-door neighbor. It was acting strangely and moving in varied directions, till it swallowed a squirrel, and Flora ran over to open it up and saved the squirrel. She named the squirrel Ulysses, and also gave her some warmth. Now Flora's father, George, and her mother, Phyllis, were separated. This had an effect on how she could manage to take care of Ulysses. Her mom invites her to have some fun time at the mall, and get their hair done because she had some nice interview on the way, but Flora refuses it. That night, Ulysses was hungry and went around in search of a nut or something to eat, and he saw lots of chips close to the typewriter that Phyllis used. Ulysses ate it all, and also typed the word Squirtle. I am Ulysses. Born anew with his stained feet on the typewriter. The next morning, Phyllis is pissed seeing the write-up and questions Flora about it. Flora is shocked to see it and runs in excitement to ask Ulysses about it. At that time, Mrs. Tootie comes in with William, her nephew, who is hysterically blind. Phyllis shouted as she saw a squirrel on her award plaque. Flora rushed outside with Ulysses to avoid her mom, trying to do anything further. William discovers with Flora how distinct and intelligent Ulysses, the squirrel, was. George comes around, and Phyllis tells him to try to take the squirrel away, as it might be diseased. Flora detects that her parents might be divorced when she questions her father. She tries to convince him that Ulysses is intelligent and like a superhero that is incodesto. He tries to make her believe that it's not possible, because he created that superhero in drawing, and there's no hope for such to be real. Later that day, Flora decided that they should have some food, but she realized that Ulysses wanted more. While trying to avoid the waitress from looking into the box, Ulysses flew out of the box when opened, and had the waitress shouting till there was a spiral of him avoiding being hit, and then flying to safety, which surprised everyone. Flora and her dad had to leave immediately, because the restaurant glass windows got broken when a waiter threw a chair at Ulysses, in the process of them trying to catch him. They hurried to her dad's friend, who was a pet doctor, and she confirmed that Ulysses wasn't hurt, and was doing well. The county animal control officer came for some investigation, and the waitress came up with the notion that the squirrel had rabies. The officer decided to get into it, and back in his office, he looked at an old publication, and looked fired to take on the squirrel. The next day, William visits Flora in her tree house and trips when the floor broke, but was saved by Ulysses, who holds him. Ulysses released him to get the Pop-Tart when distracted, with it almost falling beside him. Flora and William head out to try to understand Ulysses' purpose by checking out a bookstore, but they find out about the animal control officer's investigation. They head to Flora's dad's place of work, and after revealing what had developed, he quits his job in front of his rude store manager. He immediately took them to his apartment, where the animal control officer knocked on their door. The animal control officer tried to inquire about the squirrel, and was interrupted by the same wildcat that almost hurt Flora and her dad the first time they came around. Flora, William, and George all ran to George's car as they sped away, breaking one of the doors of his car. They arrived at Phyllis and Flora's place and were worried there was an issue due to Phyllis preparing food to eat before they got there. Phyllis is convinced she needs to open up and let people in so the next book she's writing would not be a failure, and the forthcoming interview. Her husband gave a condition to back her up, which was to allow the squirrel to stay, but Ulysses suddenly appeared, and the table and the lunch were all in disarray. Phyllis finally agrees, and the next day the interview happens in her living room. The interviewer felt Phyllis was putting much effort into the writing, and gave her a bad review in the newspaper when she read it. That night, Ulysses headed to the typewriter to type on it, and then finish it up before morning. While Phyllis would be reading the papers, she kidnapped the squirrel in an effort to take him to the forest, and Flora had the help of William to aid in finding them. Meanwhile, Phyllis tries to make Ulysses the squirrel leave freely in the woods, but she was offered a piece of sweet to make her feel calm, and then she returned home with him. Her husband meets her at home and tries to be more friendly, and they share a good moment where they understand each other, before they head out to look for Flora. In the next scene, Flora was with William, and when the rain started, they took cover, where he told her about what he did back home, that made him have to stay with his cousin, Mrs. Tootie. Flora assures him that she understands, and also they meet her mom, who tries to hand over Ulysses back, but Flora broke her award plaque mistakenly, and then both her mom and her father shared a kiss. At this moment, the animal control officers came in and swooped in on Ulysses before he was tranquilized, and then taken away. Flora and her parents took the initiative to go to the animal shelter, and then rescue Ulysses with the help of William, and the vet doctor. Then they made away from there, and let Ulysses into the forest where the animal control officers met them, but they couldn't get the exact squirrel they searched for, and they had to run out of the area. The movie ends with Flora, her parents, and William, sharing comics to people. Ulysses is then seen in the woods performing his superhero stunts and finally flying off. So that is it for today, guys. Hope you had an awesome day, and do not forget to cheer people around you. If you liked the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for daily content like this.